Hello, 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 hello. I gotta stop doing that. Fuck, probably blowing your goddamn ears out. Probably blowing your goddamn ears out. It's just solo Andy today on this beautiful day, pre-Christmas Eve. Solo dolo with the red man. Patrick will not be here today. I thought he was gonna. There was a miscommunication. Hey, look at that. Slav number one in the chat. Racism has won again. Oh yeah, I gotta sign back into all my fucking accounts. Dude, I was making a fucking TikTok. So this shit happens. God damn it. I hate it. I hate it so much. No, this Andy, I lost my job and I need that $8 back. Sorry, it's mine. Also, I don't know how to send it to you. And I need the $8 as well. Now, did you really lose your job? That sucks, man. I'm sorry. I'm not giving you that $8 back. That's crazy business. It's crazy if you want that from me. But if you actually did lose your job, I'm very sorry. That fucking sucks shit. God damn it. I have like no energy right now, man. No fucking energy. I woke up. I even got like a decent night's sleep. I think I'm getting too fat. I think that might be it. I might just be a huge fat piece of shit. I might just be way too fucking big. Because it's just I got to work on it though. I need to lose a little bit of weight. I went on a nice leisurely stroll with the wife yesterday. That was actually incredibly lovely. The only problem is, bro, I wake up, read a little bit, do the podcast thing. Yesterday's show was fucking amazing. That's why it's like, bro, Pat, get your shit together. Get in here. Stop having a life outside of me. God damn it. God damn it, Pat. Stop having an existence outside of the red man. What the fuck, Pat? I know you got to produce our podcast. Wait, written up? What else they do to you? Put you in detention? Oh, at work. You're talking to Humongous. Now I got written up. Bitches be cray. Bitches do be X-raying too. But no, yeah, we did the podcast. Getting written up at work sucks shit. It's also usually on some gay shit too that they write you up. It's usually on some bullshit. We were talking about that a bunch yesterday. If Jobs could learn how to be more chill and not worry so much about pesky profits, it would be a better place. It would be a better place. You know what I mean? Honestly, dude, we would live in a better world if Jobs in general could learn how to. Oh yeah, I'm sipping on the Aldi's knockoff Monster. Delicious. The Aldi's knockoff Monster. No, if Jobs could just figure out a way, to not make as many profits, I legit think the world would be a better place. You know what I mean? Like, and you guys know me, I'm not an anti-capitalist. I'm pro-capitalism, but I think a lot of times people, they're not active in the process and it goes a little crazy. And that's where we get a lot of this crony capitalism. Oh man, new lemon party is up. Do you guys see this? This might be a good place to start too, because I really wanted to make a big point on that new Timmy Chalamet song. I thought that was a good thing to talk about. There's a lot of stuff to talk about today. It's going to be more fast and loose today. I'm making my way through Salem's Lot. I'm on page 100. I don't know when I started this, but I'm on page 100 now. It's pretty great. I've actually been reading a lot more lately. My problem is I can't focus, god damn it. I can't focus on one gosh dang book. I got to read a lot of books. I'm currently reading Aberration in the Heartland of the Real. It's about Timothy McVeigh. Meet Me in the Bathroom. It's about a guide to gay sex. No, a nice young lady named Lizzie Goodman wrote a book about the alternative music scene in the early 2000s in New York City, and then Provoked by Scott Horton, talking about what led to Russia, Ukraine, and things like that, and then Salem's Lot. And then on top of that, I'm reading some manga. I like manga a lot. Do you guys like manga? I like manga. Andy Malfrino reads manga. I know you look at me and you go, Andy Malfrino, what a manly man. What a very, very manly man. But I'm reading manga because I like to sit when I pee sometimes. But no, I've been reading Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul. I was reading Sakamoto Days, but I got to tell you, slice of life manga, boring sometimes. I need more. I need more in my life. The Red Man, the Red Man needs a little bit more in his life. There we go. The Red Man needs a little bit more in his life. So I like it. That's why I'm a fan of over the top outrageous shit. I'm a big fan of I'm a fan of sci-fi because they hit you with run-of-the-mill stories, but they present it in a big, outrageous way. I like that shit a lot. And yeah, it was like why I was reading Chainsaw Man. I really like Chainsaw Man. I thought the way they were presenting everything in Chainsaw Man was fantastic. Yeah, because it's just like it's about a boy who just wants to touch boobs, and it's what I like about Chainsaw Man. It's why I got to talk to Lemaire more. I really need to understand. I really need to understand what's going on up in that beautiful black head of his, because I really want to know the criteria of girl anime and not girl anime. Because Lemaire gets scared. Lemaire gets scared of sorry, I'm posting links. Lemaire gets scared of substance, and sometimes these animes or mangas, whatever you want to look at them as, that some of these mangas that they have a little bit more depth, a little bit more drama. I like very little drama in my life, but when I'm actually reading a tale, reading a book, reading a magazine, reading a manga, reading a comic book, whatever the fuck you want to call them, whatever the fuck you decide to pick up, my ass likes drama. I remember it from day one. I was never an avid reader, but I always liked to read. You know what I mean? I'm not like I talked about it with movies. I talked about it with movies and shit like that. I've said that before when me and Pat were doing like No More Heroes and we were doing heavy movie talk and stuff like that. I'm a big fan of movies, but I would not call myself a cinephile. You know what I'm saying? I would not call myself a man who is like obsessed with the medium of cinema. I respect it. I appreciate it. I love it. I love it dearly. But I am in no ways a cinephile. And it's kind of like that with a lot of stuff. Music's the only one. Music, I can appreciate it on like all levels, if that makes any sense. Music is a good one that, you know, even if it's the worst music, I can still like just because I grew up as a musician. I grew up as a musician mainly, you know, from literally the fourth grade, I think it was. Yeah, because fourth grade I started playing the saxophone, and then I was like, this fucking sucks, blowing air to make notes and then having to learn all the notes and stuff. I was like, this fucking sucks. And then I realized in the concert band, the drum music was all on one line. And then when you evolved to the drum set, it was just you kind of feeling shit. You didn't have to like memorize shit. You just kind of had to understood the general layout and, you know, just go. So that's why I love the drums. But, you know, I mainly I identify as a drummer and a comedian. That's kind of like where my head's at on a lot of things. That's how I like process the world. I was a drummer and a comedian, if that makes any sense. And because I basically spent my entire youth up until God, my last year of college, yeah. And then I spent that time being a, honestly, I've spent more of my life being a drummer. Actually, no, wait. How old are you in 4th grade? Well, no, 5th grade is when I started playing the drums. How old are you in 5th grade? How old are you in 5th? Can't spell 5th. Cannot spell 5th. 10 to 11. Okay. And then how old are you your senior year of college? That's probably like 21, 22, right? Yeah, 21, 22. So I spent about 21, no, 11 or 12 years as a drummer. And then from 22 to 35, spent about 13 years as a comedian. So I'm basically on a 50-50 right now. Comedian podcaster. Where was I going with this? I miss playing concert bass drum. Dude, there was actually some art form to concert bass drum. Like you actually had to be if you wanted to play it right, because you couldn't just go I was gonna say I need something to simulate a mallet, and like let's say Salem Lot by Stephen King is the drum. You couldn't just go boom, 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 boom. You had to especially if it was a big one, you had to warm it up. You had to tease it a little bit, and then you had to kind of hit it with a boom, boom, boom. Same thing with your, because you see people, no one understood how crucial it was. Yeah, especially too, not even just hitting the actual bass drum, but like the way you hit it. It's crucial, like the vibe. It's crucial the vibe you implemented on the bass drum. It's very crucial the actual vibe that you implemented with the bass drum. Because you kind of don't want to be like overtly heard. You want to be felt. That's what's going on with the bass drum. You sit with the concert bass drum. You're sitting in the back being felt. Daddy's just trying to feel you up back there. And that's what you're doing with the concert bass drum. What was I saying before, though? I lost my train of thought. Can you guys help me out real quick? I lost my train of thought. If you're watching this on iTunes or Spotify, twitch.tv/Andy Malfrina, youtube.com/DragTheLake732. You can watch live and you can sit in the chat and you can listen to me talk. And when I get sidetracked, this is why I like Pat being here. This is why I like Pat. What did I say right before that? 50. How did I get into 50-50 drummer comedian? Help me out. This is why I need you, Pat. Pat, I need you. My Patty. My beautiful Patty. I need you. I get off topic. I was talking about life and how I perceive life and how I enjoy life. I was saying things like that. I don't know. Get in the live chat. I was spending my life 50-50 drummer comedian. I'm a funny drummer. I'm a funny fucking drummer. Somebody remind me what I was saying. Man, I don't remember either. Start thinking of bass drums and getting felt. Hey, no worries, brother. No fucking worries. God damn it. Oh, I was talking about reading all my books. Wait, maybe that was getting me there. I was talking about reading all my books, having a lot of things going on at the same time. Shit, what was I talking about? We're going to have to figure this one out, actually. Venezuela. I was definitely not talking about Venezuela. You're right, dude. You're right, monkey. Something did go wrong. Honestly, I've spent more of my life being a drummer. I think. Actually, what is he going? What is this guy going on? You kind of feeling shit. You didn't have to memorize shit. You just kind of had to understood the general lay. Okay, we're getting it. We're getting there. What was I talking about? Appreciate it on all levels, if that makes any sense. Music is a good one that I'm getting it back. I was saying something about not being an expert. Oh, that's right. We're back. Hugh, you goddamn legend. Not a great reader, but an average. That's right. That's how I am. That's what I was getting at, because I was saying, I was like, I'm a big enjoyer of art in general, but I hate a lot of art. So that's the point I was trying to make with being a musician and playing the drums and stuff, is I can appreciate a larger range of music than I can when it comes to like books and comics and movies and other art like that. But that being said, I like a lot. Like the movies I fucking like. And the books I fucking like. And the comics and the manga I fucking like. But I've been noticing, and this could just be getting older and understanding like how much time you have during the day. Like I had a big moment. Like I kind of hit pause on. I was reading this manga Sakamoto Days because it looked cool. And my buddy at the creek in the cave, Clay, one of the doormen there, Sakamoto Days. Let me pull up a picture of it so you guys know what's going on. It's a cool concept. It's a cool concept, but I was getting a little bit bored of it. You may have saw it on Netflix. It's a very cool concept where there's this dude who like used to be an assassin. He's now he like through the power of love. I don't know. Honestly, just like the way I'm about to describe it is now making me want to watch it again. Here's the problem I actually ran into. So I was reading the manga for a little bit, and then I was like, let me just watch the show. And then I watched the show, and I went back to the manga, and the manga is like 100% the show. I'm sorry, the show's like 100, because I think they do. I feel like they rarely do anime than manga. I feel like it's just manga than anime most times. Although there's a bunch of like American or like straight to Netflix animes. Straight to Netflix. I don't even know if that's the proper, if that encapsulates the emotions properly. But there's a lot of like, there's like a lot of Americanized, or there's like a lot of American IDs that they go like, it'd be cool if there was an anime here. Like I think they did that with Predator, and it seemed pretty cool. But I don't know if there's like a Predator manga that's based off of, or they did like a what was it? There was like a Terminator one a while ago. They did a Terminator one a while ago. I don't know if that was based off a Terminator manga, but either way, I believe like especially one like this, because this was originally, this is a Netflix original. Well, this is broadcast initially, yeah, like it says down there, only on Netflix. But I believe it was a manga forever, because I think I have the Shonen Jump app. By the way, if you guys like manga, Shonen Jump, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, there's like 200. Yeah. So this has been a manga forever, for a while. I mean, because there's like 242 chapters. Yeah, 242 chapters of Sakamoto Days. I'm trying to see when the last one when the one I'm reading came out. But yeah, they did the manga, they put it on Netflix, and I watched like 4 or 5 episodes on Netflix. It was pretty good. It was fun. I like the message of, marriage and family is beautiful and nice, and it kind of like what it represents is really fucking cool. But then when you go to the manga, it's like you realize it's kind of funny where it's kind of funny because a lot of times people complain that, they didn't, it's like, I've even made that statement about like comic book movies. It's like, dude, you guys literally have the storyboard right there. You have the storyboard right there. Why are you not just doing that? And then when they do that, I go, well, now I'm bored. Now I'm bored because I want to watch the anime and read the manga, and they're exactly the same. But props to them on that. It's because you know what it is, because also too on top of that, I'm reading this one called Tokyo Ghoul, which is like there's these creatures called ghouls, and they're kind of like vampires, but they're like animatified and made like way more badass and intense and shit like that. But yeah, it's basically like vampires, but they're ghouls. It's funny too, being like, why does Lemaire call them girl animes? Anyway, I'm reading about ghouls. I'm reading about Tokyo ghouls. Hey, suck dickus, true as fuck. What's up, brother? Thanks for hopping in. But no, Tokyo Ghoul's fun because I actually like the manga better than the anime on that one. Because like the anime is cool, but it kind of does a lot of like annoying typical anime shit. Because I think Tokyo Ghoul is kind of like an older one. I think it's been out for a minute. When did it come out? Can I just get a date? Can I get a date? Tokyo Ghoul, when did you get released? Got a lot of tabs. What did Tokyo Ghoul come out? Oh, yeah. So it was out in 2011 to 2014. So, like, when I was watching the actual anime, it kind of had, like, a fuck ton of typical anime things to it. There's this thing the animes do where, like when I'm watching Chainsaw Man, I really like how Chainsaw Man goes over the top with the visuals and, with the execution of, here, wait, let me just try to pull up. Here we go. Like the visuals and stuff are like fucking crazy and over the top. Let me try to show you. Like they just have like certain, Jesus Christ. Yeah, they'll just have this one's a little bit kind of cheesy. Come on, CBR, why are you slowing my computer down? Here, wait. Why do I do it like this? I should learn from my mistakes, and I should always just pull it up on Twitter or something like that. No, like I like Chainsaw because they hit you with I figured out why Lemaire calls stuff like Tokyo Ghoul and Chainsaw Man girl anime because it makes people rage bait so hard for nothing. Yeah. Well, no, because no, it's honestly calling something like Chainsaw Man girl anime is, if you're trying to rage bait, it is actually brilliant. Because Chainsaw Man is not girl anime, but there's enough there that you're going to make a dude who's a fan of it insecure when you say that. So you're probably going to get him to like spaz a little bit. Because the thing about I'm starting to realize like what Lemaire considered, because like if you take one, like I remember he called Demon Slayer girl anime, and then he's like Chainsaw Man's girl anime, and now he called Tokyo Ghoul girl anime, but he admittedly had never he admittedly said I've never read or watched Tokyo Ghoul, but I looked up pictures of it, and based off the pictures it seems girl anime. And I get it from his perspective because Lemaire isn't really down with emo shit. And if you look at Chainsaw Man and you look at Demon Slayer and you look at Tokyo Ghoul, they're very emo. That's why when Lemaire discovered angry music, it was in the form of Knock Loose and Kubla Khan. That's how Lemaire likes to get out his sad thoughts. Now, a guy like me who grew up in the emo trenches, I love to get in the sad boy trenches, dude. I don't mind. I like that level of, emotional depth and sadness and drama. But like the reason I like all those is because, well, also too, like I'm a big fan of those animes where the main character is like a huge pussy that slowly becomes not a huge pussy. And that's like a big part of Chainsaw Man. It's a big part of Demon Slayer. And I can tell it's a big part of Tokyo Ghoul. Because I can personally identify with that. The more I grow, the more maturity I gain, the more I realize I used to be a huge pussy. You know what I mean? And just with every day getting a little bit more mature and shit like that and growing a little bit, you realize, that older self where you think you had it all figured out, you realize he was way more of a pussy than he was and than you thought he was. And sorry. Something in my God damn it. My tooth is bothering me. I'm drinking this knockoff. I'm drinking this Aldi's energy drink, and I think it's bothering my tooth. Please like and subscribe. I need to go to the dentist. But no, I think dudes like Lemaire, and no shade on Lemaire, he's got a very excellent palate. I think he likes really good shit. I always take his suggestions when he's suggesting like TV shows and movies and shit, because I've been proven wrong many a time with his suggestions. I remember the last time I talked about this a bunch, but the last time I've ever doubted Lemaire on a show suggestion was Chippendale Rescue Rangers, the live action animated. I remember he suggested that, and I was like, all right, dude, you're just just grow the fuck up. And then I watched it. I didn't actually say that to him, but just to be clear, I didn't say that directly to him. I thought it aggressively at him. And then I watched Chippendale, and I go, God damn, the kid doesn't miss. The kid never misses. But what I did notice is, I think I was joking too about some of my friends. They take their emotions and they just put them in a little box and they lock that shit up. Lemaire does at times get angry and annoyed when there is sort of like an emotional complexity to things, because I think Lemaire just locked that box up, and watching too much of this shit. And I've noticed, and I'm really focusing on Lemaire because I love him dearly. He's one of my best friends ever. But I've noticed it with a lot of guys too. There'll be stuff where it'll be like, there'll be a little bit of emotional depth to it, but they'll just immediately go like, that shit sucks. That's for girls. It's pussy shit. And you're like, nah, man, it's just trying to like open your heart up a little bit. It's just trying to make you feel a little bit. Like, the true stuff for girls is like Housewives and shitty reality shows and stuff like that. Like, that's for girls. Or like, dude, even the most girly shit ever, Mean Girls, everyone loves that movie. I mean, if you don't like the movie Mean Girls, you're a dumb motherfucker, respectfully. He has the best takes sometimes, even if some are terrible. Lemaire has a lot of really good takes. I'll even give him credit, his worst takes ever. Like, Lemaire has two versions of bad takes. He had one version of his bad takes. It's just him being a fucking lib cuck. Nah, that's shitty. I meant that in a funny way, but I felt bad actually saying the word cuck. No, Lemaire just libs out a little too hard. But honestly, I was talking to him recently, like, he was like I thought he would have loved that Zoran guy. And he's like, I hate that Zoran guy. And I was like, why? And he's like, because he's a communist. And I was like, my man. So I actually have to give Lemaire credit. I think he's toned down a little bit of the lib bullshit. But yeah, he lived, like, I've seen him on the podcast in the past couple months. He lives out a little bit too hard. And that to me is just like that's more that it's less of a bad take and more of just like you just disagree with the process. And then his other like truly bad takes, I just look at him and I go like, just slow down and like just put it through. Lemaire doesn't have a strict review process. You know what I mean? Like, if Lemaire was a newspaper, the first draft would get published every single time. And it's just like, dude, if there's certain times where he needs to like be a little humble and slow down. And if he just gives it like a once or two over in his head, he wouldn't just be hitting such like hot takes. Cause that's what irks me is like people always, they do it to me. They do it to Nate. We're very exposed on the podcast. It's this weird dichotomy that happens with the podcast where you have to be like kind of vulnerable and kind of, you have to be kind of, Oh yeah. His Batman take sucked ass. I got it. being like being like Batman sucks, and then it's like why? Because he's a billionaire, and it's like, well, Lemaire, I tried to talk to him about that because there was like one time in private, then like one time on the pod, and he just doesn't want to like actually have the conversation. But like the Batman take always annoyed me because it's like because someone will go like, well, he's a billionaire, and I go, it's just a like whenever someone has a shit ton of money like that in a comic book, it's solely just so you can make an excuse why they have all this crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's why Tony Stark has to be a billionaire in the Avengers so they can explain, like, oh, Stark Tower and all this advanced technology. Like, if you want cool shit like that in your comic books, you have to have like a billionaire or something. So it's like, well, how does he get a bat plane? Because he's a billionaire. Don't ask questions. You know what I mean? Like, oh, how does he have this advanced cool tech that makes the comic book interesting? So it's like it's not that he's a billionaire. It's just they need an excuse so whenever people complain about Batman being a billionaire, I go, you just don't understand comic books. You know what I mean? It's the same reason as why, like, like at the end of every season of a sitcom, you ever notice, like, at least more so in old sitcoms. Wait, hold up, you cooking? Yeah, exactly. Like, you gotta think about things like that from like a writing standpoint. You ever watch a TV show on what the fuck is it? Like a TV show like How I Met Your Mother, one of those type of sitcoms where it's like a small, or like How I Met Your Mother and Friends. And you're like, and then you start noticing with shows like that, you're like, why is it always just like, why are they never going outside of the friend group to like fuck other people? It's always like no one's ever had that much of an incestuous friend group where everyone takes turns dating and fucking each other like that. Like, you wouldn't be friends with each other for that long. And you go like, oh, it's because they don't want to spend time introducing new characters. You've already like learned these characters and become familiarized with them. And now you're used to those characters, and it's going to be a waste of time bringing in a new character you don't have emotional attachment to. So just as a writing mechanism, it's easier to let's just have these 8 people, just as a lazy Susan go around and picking partners and just fucking each other. That, like, if you watch a lot of shows that sex is an element of, they do that a lot. They do that a lot, and it's just because they don't want to waste time introducing new characters. So it's a similar thing with comic books. You know what I mean? Because like with comic books and superhero shit in general, because there's like core, and I'm no expert on the shit, but I'm no expert on the shit, but there always has to be a character that has not always, but a lot of times there's a character that has an unreasonably large amount of money so they can explain why there's all this insane shit going on. Like, like, how'd you get that? Well, that guy's got $1 bajillion. You know what I mean? Honestly, it's why characters in TV show, like, going back to sitcoms and stuff in general, you see a lot of sitcoms that'll be like, why is every sitcom based around rich people in like New York? And it's so they can explain the outrageous shit that they do. If you exclude the element of how do they pay for this, you've now made a million things 10 times easier to write. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that was my one thing with Lemaire's. Oh wait, let me go back to the hot take thing before I go on Batman. Let me go back to the hot take thing I was going to say before I talk about Batman, because my hot take thing is like, going back to like Lemaire and his hot takes, and it's this weird thing that I see it a lot with the podcast fans, And if you're the 5 people watching this stream, this doesn't apply to you. Like if you're the 5 people watching me stream right now, you're the hardest of core of podcast fan. You're the realest of ones. So I'm not talking to you guys, but like there's I started noticing it because one of my guilty pleasures are the podcast drama channels. Not so much anymore, admittedly, because they're like pretty bad. Like, it was fun. I was noticing it in like some of the comments on the Panties channel, but it's super apparent. It's super apparent in like the podcast drama channels. I've been noticing it a lot where I go, "Hey man, do you guys not understand friendship?" Like I remember it was super apparent when I want to say I can't remember if it was season 1 or season 2, but Shane went on Flagrant 2 to promote tires. And Schultz and the crew were trying to do a thing where they were like showing people with Down syndrome. And they were like, I forget what the joke was exactly, but it was like, "That's you, Shane." And then Shane was taking that and he was flipping it away where he was like, excuse me. He was flipping that in a way where he was like, "This is fucked up. This isn't cool." And all the podcast channels took that aggressively seriously. And they were like, Shane and Schultz hate each other. And they just made a whole thing out of it. And I was just like watching that being like, have you guys never, I said again, like, have you guys never had male friends? Have you never been friends with men? You know what I mean? And I think about it too when I read like some of the Panties comments, because I realize some of the dudes, some of the more over the top Panties fans who like will comment aggressively, I can tell they sort of treat Panties like, and podcasting in general, they sort of treat it like a episode of Real Housewives. They treat it like an episode of Real Housewives, and they kind of like look at us as characters and not dudes who have been friends for almost 15 years. And it's like, if you watch the pod, and then mix that in. The other thing I was going to say is mix that in where, and this is why I thought of the podcast drama channels thing, is there's this sort of unwritten request of the fans of like, we like podcasts because you guys are real and you guys are, bare bones and vulnerable, and, you guys act a way we wish we could act. But then there's a thing that happens, and it's why I hate, and I've been wanting to talk about this publicly, but it's why I get really annoyed when I see the people going like, "Wow, what a bad take. Oh, you're such a blowhard. You don't know what you're talking about. God, everything this guy says is wrong." And it's like, is that why we're here? Is that why you're listening to 3 retarded guys drink beers and talk shit for 2 hours every week? Because you're like, they better be right about everything. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's this weird thing where there's this like initial request from us, or not even like a direct request, but there's this like unspoken agreement with a podcast where it's like, I want to hear these guys be unhinged. I want to hear them say wild shit. So, but then the podcasters do that. And then you got people being like, "I can't believe they said that. That was so," and you're like, what is it then, man? Because you can listen to like a fucking scientist on Rogan or on Lex Friedman, or you can listen, like Brett Weinstein has a podcast. That dude will take a point, and no shade on Brett Weinstein. I remember I was annoyed by this, and I was annoyed by him, and I talked to Lemaire about why I annoyed him, and Lemaire kind of explained it in a way where I go, that makes sense. That's fair, because it's like, I would always get annoyed with Brett Weinstein because he would like over-explain the simplest of points, and Lemaire was always just like, yeah, he's a scientist. That's how he goes about it, which, fair enough. I do think sometimes Brett Weinstein, his brother's way more, like, Brett Weinstein means well, so I don't get bothered by it, but his brother is way worse about it. But they both do this thing where they like, Tim Pool would do it a lot on his podcast when I still listen to it, but Brett Weinstein does this thing where while he's talking, he presents it as like, brother, get this. And then he like hits a point and you're like, oh yeah, no, we all kind of like know that. Like that's not a hard point to get to. But he does have Brett Weinstein does have a problem with presenting info in a way like there's a lot of these guys on podcasts who they have a way of talking that makes it feel like let me bestow this hard-fought knowledge upon you. And you're like, then you hear what they have to say and they over-explain it in like a smart guy way. And then you sit there and really digest what they're kind of telling you. You know, and this usually happens when it comes to like stuff about society or politics or whatever. Like I was listening, Brett Weinstein was talking about, you know, what is he? He's a biologist or something. I forget what he is exactly. When he talks about that shit, I sit my white ass down and listen. But every time he hits a political point, he presents it in the same way. And you're like, yeah, man, I think people just kind of watching could have gotten to that conclusion, but no shade on the dude because I think he means well at all times. But Dunbar, what's up, brother? But yeah, going back to I got off on a tangent on Brett Weinstein. No, I don't dislike Brett Weinstein. I just sometimes it's just him and his brother. Sometimes they'll talk about shit and they present it in this like really deep, heady way. And it's like, you guys aren't talking about anything that's fucking deep. Just calm down. But anyway, no, but that was kind of my point is like, you can, oh, no worries, Dunbar. I appreciate you being in here either way. But it's like, that's kind of like my point that annoys me is like, there are these podcasts, like, it's not that you can't be annoyed by me or anyone else on the pod. If someone was like, I love you too, most dope. If someone was like, yo, Andy, you annoy me, I would go, well, what was it? It's not that I don't believe you. I'm just curious what it was. Like, if someone goes, you are annoying, I'm not sitting here going like, why would someone say that? I go, yeah, dude, I'm unapologetically me a lot of times, and that rubs people the wrong way. That's fine. That's how life works. You know what I mean? Like, I get annoyed by other people who, that's the thing. There's sometimes, like, if you're just unapologetically yourself, it's fucking annoying to certain people, depending on what they're like, what their current life is like. You know, I've been there before. I've watched people just living life, having a good time, being themselves. And I've been like, fuck that guy. You know what I mean? I've been fucking annoyed as fuck at someone just living their life in the best way possible. So I got no hate on people hating. I'm a learned hater. But as like I've always said before, I like to be a knowledgeable hater. I don't just hate for the sake of it. I like to be a well knowledge seasoned hater. But either way, so yeah, it's not even about like not being annoyed. It's just, I gotta be perfectly honest. The amount of comments I see about like, oh, what a bad take. Like I remember, dude, one of my favorite ones ever. Lemaire was talking about the fuck was he talking about? Tariffs. And then he was going on about that. And some dude in our Discord wrote down like a 5-paragraph essay about why Lemaire was wrong about tariffs. And I go like, what are we doing here, man? Like, why are you here? Now, I will say this, actually. It'd be one thing if like, because I do have to meet people halfway. Because I am at times being like, oh, I'm making a serious point. I'm not being a silly goose right now. Like, so it'd be one thing if I was like silly goosing it the whole time. Because I do have part of me that goes like, no, I think I'm right about some things. I would like to be taken at face value, I hesitate to say take me seriously because I never want to take myself too seriously. But, I do get annoyed when people go, because I spend a lot of time like reading, listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, just trying to understand what is and what isn't. So when people, the one comments that do bother me is like, Andy only ever has a surface level understanding. And it's like a lot of times, well, like those comments are interesting because you start to realize the more negative comments you get, they're actually incredibly revealing. You know, like if someone happens to be leaving comments on your YouTube videos every week or on all of your shit being like, wow, Andy's such a loser, Andy's not funny, are you still doing this? And at first you're just like, the fuck? What did I do? Man, I must fucking suck. This guy really And then once it starts happening over and over and over and over again, you know, people start sort of revealing their true intentions. Because it's like after a couple weeks of constantly obsessing about me, you start to go like, oh, I think this guy loves me. But I think something's going on that I am doing something that's rubbing him the wrong way, and he's not good at expressing himself. And then you start to observe it completely differently. And then and then going back to the other comments, nobody will hate you unless you're doing something right. Yeah, well, that's what I've been realizing is like when you're talking about shit and you're touching, well, it is like when you're just being yourself, happy, like people get really mad when you're unapologetically yourself. And because also too, the way podcasting and comedy has been for like the past decade or so, it's very ironic and it's very, oh my God, like it's very, it's like ironic and negative. And it's a lot of like making fun of you for giving a shit. And my thing is like, I can't help it. I give a shit about stuff. And I was thinking about it too with like panties. Like one of the things that, you know, I'm very proud of us for doing, and I think we kind of don't get enough appreciation for just because of where the current like people's mindsets are on things is like a lot of, you know, if you look at a lot of podcasts, they'll do this thing where they'll be like, this is dumb. Let's break down. It's this thing that's dumb that everyone agrees with is dumb. And then we'll make a lot of jokes about why it's dumb. Panties, I don't like, we never did this on purpose, but I started to realize like we do a lot of shit where we talk about things we like. You know what I mean? Like we're all kind of accidentally positive people. I don't know if it's like, I can't speak for Lemaire and Nate because I don't know exactly like what goes on what goes on in their heads when you know when it's late at night and there's, you know, no one's around. It's like, what are they? Are they actually like sitting there kind of like depressed and sad or whatever? Because it's like, but I think we're on a similar wavelength where we do get a little bit of depression, anxiety when we're alone. And then when we're around people, it brings us up. And we want to talk about cool shit. And we want to talk about, because I do that a lot. Like, that's why I talk about music so much is like my big thing with music is always just like, I want to tell people about cool shit. You know, that's all. And it's like, it's kind of the same thing. Like, Nate brings up a topic. Oh, I want to tell you about this. Even the big lunch meat debate. Nate was going like, oh, I think turkey rules. Or Nate's always going like, I just watched this documentary. That's awesome. I just watched this movie. That's awesome. You know what I mean? And it's like, we're all kind of or Lemaire will be like, I just played this game. That's awesome. Like, Panties is kind of doing a thing where we're not doing it on purpose. It's just how we are, but we're much more in the realm of like cameras are on. We're much more in the realm of positivity. And I think over the past decade plus, people have like reprogrammed themselves into thinking like aggressive irony, everything's dumb, everything sucks. If you give a shit, you're a loser. Like that's what I respect about. That's why I respect about Lemaire, and it's why I've always busted Nate's ass about, you know, fence sitting. Although I love Nate to death. I just think sometimes, and I think it's also just because Nate's not big into like political issues like that. So I think Nate's just trying to like see both sides of the, you know, just see both sides of it. Like, you know, I'm busting his balls about fence sitting, but that's more just, you know, being nasty when you get worked up. But no, it's what I don't agree. Like, there's a lot of political things I don't agree with Lemaire on, but like, I respect his passion. You know what I mean? I respect his passion. A lot of people go like, oh, you care about politics, that's gay. And it's like, nah, man, we've all been tricked into thinking paying attention to the world and giving a shit about what goes on around you. No, that's the same way as like being like you've tricked yourself into like being into politics is the same as being into like sports or movies or anime or shit like that. You're like, no, man, I'm just interested in what's going on in the world. But no, I do think Panty suffers a little bit from the sort of where a lot of people's headspaces are at on what comedy should be. You know, not saying we're reinventing the wheel, because I don't think we are. I just think I think Panties is an odd man out in a sea of like cynicism and irony. Like, we're not super ironic people. We don't do things ironically. We're all three of us are pretty genuine. You know, shit like that. We try not to be cynical people. We try not to be like bummers. You know what I mean? So I think that's why. And I mean, the name probably doesn't help. But no, in a sea of negativity, Panties is a very positive lifeboat, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people are not prepared for that. And they just go, you know, rather than, because I see it a lot of times with like, because I talk about it a lot. I love listening to that one. Like, my favorite podcast right now is Lemon Party. When it comes to comedy shit, when it comes to comedy, I think Lemon Party is the best podcast. But the problem is, like, dude, everyone's so programmed, and it's like, it's nothing wrong with being a big name or a celebrity, but like, everyone's so programmed now that like the only legitimacy you have is if you have the rub of like big time celebrities and shit. And it's not to say those celebrities or those big time celebrities or the people in those celebrities orbits that are getting the rub aren't good. You know, some aren't, some are, you know, but like, the problem is, and this is where I get frustrated, you know, understandably so. This is where I get frustrated is, you know, if you're not one of those guys who gets the rub, it does feel like, you know, when you know people know about you. You know what I mean? That's where I get frustrated. It's like, I know I'm not a big name, but I know many people are aware of me, especially like podcast fan wise. I know a lot of people are aware of me, but I always just wonder, I go like, is it just because I don't have the rub that people like, you know, you don't take the time to consider shit? And it's like, let me not talk about me, but it's like, you see it with Lemon Party. Like, Lemon Party's probably one of the funniest podcasts right now. And well, they do shit on a lot of current comedy, so I could see people getting super butthurt because like they're shitting on, don't say bad stuff about my guy I like. But like, I've been listening to Lemon Party for a while, and they just started to average over 20K an episode. You know, and it's really honestly only like 23, 24K an episode now. But like, yeah, for the longest time, they were just sitting at 20K, and they just started to average more than 20K an episode. And yeah, man, that's crazy to me because of how good they are. But then I also got to remember my interest in things. I don't know, even for how long they've been out, and you see them compared to other podcasts, it's kind of nuts how they just hover at 20. It's kind of crazy they've been out for this long and they can't break 25. Like, they're only averaging about 23K an episode. Now, I will say, content wise, they probably get throttled by YouTube, but still, I guess like, you would have thought, because like, fans talk a lot of shit, and you would have thought a lot of fans would rally around guys like that more. But, you know, it's just this thing where, I don't know, man. Cumtown's where you got your name from? Oh, that's funny. I love when people ask what the name. Oh, for panties, yeah. um, I do. I was talking to Nate. I do love the name, but there is part of me that goes like, and I want to talk to Nate and Lemaire about this, and I want to get the fans' perspective on it. But I am not embarrassed of the name in any way, but I was like watching wrestling the other night. And I realized I was like, Kofi Kingston's one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. And I go, Kofi Kingston would never do the podcast. It's just like, it's nothing about, but so, and that was like one of the first times in a while I've ever even seriously considered wanting to change the name of the pod. Cause it's like, I am not embarrassed of the name like 1 percentage point. Obviously, when I tell people about it, I tell them PITM, like, because it's awkward, but it's like in the context of like doing the pod and that whole moment, I'm in no way embarrassed of the pod. The pod is like the way we do the pod is exactly how I want to do the pod. But just by the sheer fact of like, God, it'd be so good to have dudes like Kofi Kingston or, regular celebrities on occasionally. Obviously, we're not at that point, but like, oh, man. The problem is like the perception of things, especially I think about it too. It's like the perception of things is going to make us look like fucking dickheads. That's the annoying part. It's the annoying part where you're like, it's like even if you do it for the truest of intentions, people are still going to be haters. But as I'm saying that out loud, you kind of just have to like do it. You kind of just have to do it, and if people are going to hate, let them hate, because it's like you can't just worry about. But I don't want to change the name. I was kind of thinking like, yeah, what if we just keep it PITM? But when people ask what PITM means, you go, it's just the name, man. Like we take panties in the mouth off of everything. And it's like AFI. You know the band AFI? It technically means a fire inside, but like they just refer to themselves as AFI. Like when they made the band name, they were just like, we're just AFI. But it's just it's a fire inside, but it's also not a fire inside. So cuz I don't want to just change it. You know what I mean? I know Lemaire was talking about changing it to something else, but I don't know about changing it to something else. I don't know. Lame, but I get it. Yeah. See, that's the problem you run into. It'd be a thing worth thinking about. Because I do think, and it's very frustrating and it's very unfortunate, but I do think the name I don't know. I got to talk to them more, but I got to think about it more, because there is part of me that goes like, is the name actually holding us back? You know what I mean? Because it's one thing to be like, oh, you guys got the dumbass podcast name. It's another thing to be like, oh, is it actually like creating that big of a barrier between us and like actual success? And when you realize that, it is gay, but it is something you need to think about. But I don't know. We can think about it. More and then figure it out and then go from there. Come up with a name that fits the acronym and then just put the OGs. We'll remember it as panties. Yeah, that's what I was saying that a while ago. We could call it like people. I was joking forever ago, calling it, because I remember we thought of it was funny. We thought of the name and then Nate immediately hated it. It was funny. He like, because you guys have probably heard the story of why it's the name, and then we did that, and it was me and Nate, and then it was like kind of hilarious how instantaneously he hated the name, and we kept doing things to be like, can we just avoid actually? And it's like, well, why'd we make it the name then? God damn it! Why'd you agree to make it the name then? Because I'm like way more fucking about this kind of shit. You know, that's why I've never even contemplated changing the name. Nate's had some concerns from time to time. Lemaire, yes and no, but I've personally never, like, because I was like, I don't care about, there's certain things they care about with their careers, which I'm not shitting on them for. I just, I look at things differently. So it's not that I don't care about them. I don't hold those things with the same type of value as they do. And so that's why Lemaire not so much, Nate a little bit more. They've had more concerns than me. I came up being a Legion of Skanks fan. I like all the wild shit. Like I said, my current favorite podcast is Lemon Party. Like, I'm all about the just doing it. And there is something about, growing up being a Legion of Skanks fan. There's something about it that I go, I would rather give it a fucking insane name. You know what I mean? That's just more my style, is about giving it the insane name. So that's why for the longest time, I never really even contemplated changing it. But then it was like, I was chilling and I was watching wrestling and I was like, I'm never going to get, like, legitimately, it just dawned on me. And I was like, I'll never get to interview Kofi Kingston with the name Panties in the Mouth. And it's like, yeah, I think, because also too, it's like, there is part of me too that's like 35, and the whole, it's like when you're younger and the world is in a different place, and there's certain sort of like edgelordy jokes that you're like, way more into making them, and then you just kind of grow older and grow into a different person, and those jokes just don't hit the same or just mean as much to you. You know what I mean? It's almost too, it's like that part of me that may have felt like 10 years ago may have been like, you're being a fucking sellout. I don't know. Am I expressing this right? Do I sound like a fucking pussy? Hey, what's up, Far Wild? Skanks builds characters. Yeah. Yeah, Skanks rules. Shout out Skanks. Yeah, I don't know. It's just I'm trying to express this without sounding like a fucking pussy, because I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses. I'm just figuring out the right way to express this and how to express it in a way that's like very honest to me. Because it all goes back to it. It legitimately just stemmed from, I was watching wrestling. I was watching wrestling, and I saw Kofi Kingston, and I go, I'll never get to interview Kofi Kingston with a pod, because Panties is my biggest shit. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm building up another podcast. Like, maybe Drag the Lake will hit one day, and I want Drag the Lake to be self-sufficient and do good and stuff like that. But it's like, let's be realistic. It's like the podcast I'm doing with Nate Lemaire is going to be the big thing. Is going to be the bigger thing. And it's like, that's the way I'm going to interview fucking Kofi Kingston and tell him that him winning the belt at the Kofi Mania run was one of my favorite things in the fucking world. It made me so fucking happy. And it's just like that realization of like, oh, you'll never get to interview Kofi Kingston with a podcast called Panties in the Mouth. It makes me not give a fuck about the name of it made me instantaneously not give a shit about the name of the podcast. But then you got to consider, there's like, well, there's a way to do it where it looks but then it's like, do I worry about that? I don't know. I just want, like, at this point, I just want to call it fucking Andy, Nate, and Lemaire's Happy Hour. We should just call it Happy Hour. Just call it Happy Hour with Andy, Nate, and Lemaire. Is there a podcast called Happy Hour? We should call it Happy Hour. I kind of love the name. I kind of love how retarded Happy Hour is. There's got to be a podcast called Happy Hour. There's no way there's not a podcast called Happy Hour. Yeah, there's one. And there's like a lot of. There's a lot of fucking.
You've interviewed some of the biggest, most influential.
All right, we're going to have to fucking kill these guys. Welcome to the official YouTube channel for Jack Mate's Happy Hour podcast. All right, Jack Mate, Steve White, you're done, dude. You're done. You're done. Yeah, I know I was talking to Lemaire made a suggestion about bringing Gardini on and calling it like just calling the pod. This was also in the green room, just like sort of throwing it out there. He was talking about bringing Gardini on, calling it Optimum Noct, just using the name Optimum Noctis, which I don't. So it's not about. Well, we got to see if Sean would like in that scenario. We got to see if Sean would want to do it every week. But also too, it's like not like I would definitely love to pod with Sean every week. But calling it Optimum Noctis now shifts it into from my perspective, it now shifts the pod from like our thing to your guys' thing that I'm a part of. You know what I mean? So I don't love that, but yeah, we got to figure something out. Lewis, stop being broke. Big J, embrace his sexuality, and Dave, stop being a wigger. yeah, that I do think suck dickus. I do think happy hour rules, but I was like, the second I said it, I go, there has to be like what Dunbar just said. I was like, there has to be 1,000 podcasts called Happy Hour. Yeah, there's one right here called Smart Money Happy Hour. Yeah, Happy Hour. Bachelor Happy Hour. Yeah, it's apparently not a very original title. More Sean would be fire, and that's the Gardini guarantee. Yeah, no, I think that would be fun. Sean needs to get a little bit more energy in his life, though. Because I can't do a low key ep with him every week. He's got to learn to have more energy. If he's gonna be the fourth mic, he's got to learn to have more energy. I can't have low key Gardini every week. Got to bring that boy out of his shell. Gay old time. Yeah, I think that'll get us more. Now I'm gonna talk to them because like the more this is why it's like this is why I just need to talk through things. I'm not good at just like sitting and having things in my head. I have to talk them out. That's why I have to have like this podcast and shit like that. But yeah, man, I you know what it is? I just want to podcast with my friends. And I'm really at a point where I'm not married to any title. But like my problem is, and it is what it is. I like as I'm saying it out loud, like you just got to accept it. Is my problem is if we change it, everyone's going to go. If we change it, everyone's going to go, oh, finally, they've realized their title's stupid as shit. And it's like, all right. If we want to talk about it, all your titles are every podcast title stupid as shit. Ours is just, much more overtly horny. But like, if you really look at every podcast title's dumb as fuck. You know what I mean? Ours is just not. Ours doesn't work for ours stands out in a horny ass way. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just I'm thinking about, but also too, all comedians and comedians and a lot of podcast fans are cunts in general, and they're gonna be cunts no matter what. But yeah, I also think too the day and age of like the badass podcast title is almost like I don't know, it doesn't like matter anymore. You know what I mean? No, if there's a way that I can make it like if we end up changing the name, if we could just make it clear that it's like it's purely because I want to interview Kofi Kingston. That's all it is. That's all it is. I'm not embarrassed because that's it. That's the thing. We were talking about projection. We were talking about people Because a lot of times when people shit on you, it's projection. So when people go like, oh, you're fucking, you guys are probably scared. That's why, or you guys are pussies, or you guys are losers. That's why you changed your name, or you realize it's fucking dumb. It's like, it's because it's because if I did a podcast with you and I brought up an insane name like that, you'd be like, oh no, that wouldn't be good. That would hurt us. It's like, nah, man. Like we titled the podcast that because we were like, maybe we believed in ourselves too much, but we're just like, yeah, it's insane, but we're all really funny and people will just watch it and think we're funny. So it's like, we didn't think twice about the name because we all believed in ourselves. And we're also not like pussies who let a name fucking really affect us like that. You know what I mean? That's my other thing. Is like the people who are gonna criticize it. It's like a reflection on you being a pussy. You being scared. You know what I mean? I'm not compromising things for fame and fortune. I'm compromising because I want to tell Kofi Kingston I love him. You know what I mean? That's all I'm doing. If I'm compromising anything, it's because I want to let Kofi Kingston know that I love him dearly. And if I can't do that with the name of my podcast, I will change the name in a heartbeat. Because 35-year-old man, Andy Malafrina, need Kofi Kingston to know how much he means to me. Nah, for real though. Like there's a lot of interviews that I just go like, just change it to pussies in the mouth. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think that's what we need to do. Maybe we should go, instead of panties in the mouth, why don't we just call it dicks in the butt? You know what I mean? Dude, why don't we just call the podcast Kofi Mania? Let's just name the podcast I want to interview Kofi Kingston. So people know. People know. That's why I want to change the name. I just want to like that's all I care about. I just want to interview Kofi Kingston. Cuz I've also gotten to an age where all I did get the that's the new name of the pod, by the way. You know what? I'm not talking about it with Lemaire and Nate or any of them. The name of the podcast is I want to interview Kofi Kingston. That's the name of the podcast. It's Panties in the Mouth. Right now, Panties in the Mouth is dead. The podcast is called I Want to Interview Kofi Kingston. That's the name of the podcast. I will not be taking any other suggestions. Nate will love that. The podcast is going to be called I, Andy Malafrina, Want to Interview Kofi Kingston. That's the name of the pod. Hell yeah. God. The other reason I'm fucking tired is I can't stop drinking. I'm like hooked on caffeine. Hooked on caffeine. I love being jazzed the fuck up. But the problem is it's like, first off, energy drinks are not fucking cheap anymore. I mean, unless you go to Aldi's, you can get the Gridlock. You can get a can of Gridlock Paradise for $1.50. Dude, shout out Kofi Kingston. He's probably watching this like, I don't want to talk to you, Andy. Fine, Kofi. Fuck you then. Then I'm going to name the podcast Who Gives a Shit About Kofi? I'm glad Big Show caved in your fucking chest. That's the name of the pod. If Kofi won't do the pod, the name of the pod is I'm glad the Big Show caved your chest in. But that's just for now. I have two of those. Dude, They're good. The Aldi's Gridlock? The Aldi's Gridlock Paradise? Yeah, Aldi's rips. No, and honestly, they taste like, I'm not going to say just as good, but like they taste the same. Like as you're drinking it, it's not noticeably worse. Like, I mean, a Monster's probably, like, I'd have to drink a Monster right after this to double check, but like a Monster's better, I guess. But yeah, oh, that's the name of the episode, by the way. What's the date today? 23. Oh yeah, we won't be here. I'm gonna wrap this up in a minute, by the way, guys. We won't be here tomorrow and Christmas Day, but I'm gonna see what's good with Pat on Friday. We might be here Friday. I'm hanging out with my wife's family all week. So, if we got something to do on Friday, I'm gonna do that over streaming. But anyway, episode title. I want to interview Kofi Kingston. I have an infinite well of Celsius and Red Bull at work. My heart will explode in 2 weeks. Hell yeah, dude. Peace be with you. Godspeed. Dude, I love caffeine, man. You know what it is? It's like, I've read that the ADHD shit makes you way more makes it easier for you to get like addicted to like caffeine and nicotine and shit. And it's kind of funny. I don't really have the cravings to smoke as much anymore. Like, don't get me wrong. And fucking Sidewalk Toes knows this at the like, if I get a couple beers in me, I'm bumming cigs. Actually, yeah. But yeah, I think I said my piece. I think I said my piece on what I wanted to say about all that. I didn't even plan on talking about that today. All right, but yeah, did I say everything else I wanted to say? Because I might wrap it up here in a minute, just because it's like solo hour and a half. I think I gave you guys an hour 15 of some good shit. I really cut back on my caffeine the last couple of years. Yeah, I haven't. I love it so much. I don't want to I don't like to overdo it. I just like to be like, I like to be locked. It helps me be locked in and shit. If ripping cigs after some Yingling, go nuts. Yeah, dude. Also, this is again why I always go like, why has no one ever... I remember there was an argument a while ago. It's like, I'm assuming it's illegal because it's like the idea that a cigarette company has never put out the 5-pack. I just assume it's illegal to do that. Because brother, how many of us who don't smoke cigs regularly would love to go out for the night when you know you're going to be drinking with just a 5-pack of cigs? It would be the best. And it's like, you don't have to ball out on a whole pack. You don't have to bother people. Like, dude, the amount of bumming cigs would plummet. You don't have to bother people. You don't have to be a fucking freeloading mooch. The 5-pack of cigs, I'm just like, I don't know. And I've literally, dude, it's so fun. We had this argument on the pod years ago. I've never looked it up or checked. I just, through process of elimination, it feels like the 5-pack is illegal. I don't mind bumming cigs, to be honest. Well, I appreciate that. And I will take advantage of that sentence. No, I'm just kidding. No, I feel bad. It hits me occasionally, and I realize I bum cigs way too much. That would be actually very ideal, kind of like a pack of Swishers, because I mostly zen. Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I will say this: it's probably annoying for the gas stations. You know what I mean? Because like, if you're going to the gas station, that's already like, that wall's already full of cigs and shit like that. And now you basically, now that I'm thinking about it logistically, you basically have to like double that wall. You basically have to double that wall to fit in the 5 packs. Maybe they roll it out slowly and see how it goes. I don't know. I just know for me, maybe I get a full pack and I buy like a carrying case and I just put 5 in there. I don't know. I've been smoking cigars at home. I'm not doing that one out. Yeah, cigars are fun. Cigars are a good hang. I don't really enjoy cigars for the sake of it, but I do like the hang that cigars create, if that makes any sense. All right. Nah, because they'd be 1/4 as big. It could fit. Yeah, maybe. The wall's still going to bring in more money. It's more shit to sell, isn't that, for doing? I don't know. Yeah. You know what? Let me talk to my team. I'll hit up the gas stations. We'll figure this out. But yeah, guys, fun time. I will see you possibly Friday. If not, we'll be back on Monday. Other than that, I love you and happy Christmas. That's how we meet in the middle. We do a little happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Happy Christmas, Merry Holidays. I love you all.